All roads lead to the vein.
Hey, what's up everyone? Brad Chmielewski here with episode 169 of Shatter The Vain. I got Greg from Rogue joining me once again. He was on episode 141. That seems like forever ago, when Rogue just was entering the Vainglory scene, around that time where all the orgs were kind of popping in. The news of the franchise system was kind of developing a little bit. So really great to chat with him then, great to chat with him now, to kind of hear what's been happening with Rogue behind the scenes and looking forward into the future, especially with 5v5 coming, kind of some stuff maybe they're thinking about, or just what all the orgs might be thinking about, because we had that great interview with Ciderhelm. Love seeing him back on camera, watching him and his videos from the League of Legends days when I played that game. Like, definitely the way I found Vainglory first was because of Ciderhelm. So very cool to see and hear what he is up to at Super Evil Megacorp. So check out that interview. We talk about some of the stuff he touched on and what might be coming or what might not be coming from them here in the future. And then we talk about the Summer Championships. We run down our picks. Who's going to win it all? There's a great bracket that everyone should go fill out. It's so easy to do. Go do it, fill it out, tweet it out, win glory, win keys, entered for an iPhone. Definitely awesome. And we dive into a little bit of Reza, what we think after, 2 weeks now of playing him? Or maybe not playing him or playing against him. Kind of haven't seen him too much. But yeah, talk about him a little bit. Well, before I get in this episode, I want to mention the Patreon page over at patreon.com/shatterthevain. Thank you for everyone that's backing the podcast there. That is awesome. Not being a streamer, I don't have subs. I just have the YouTube channel where you can subscribe there, but I don't get anything from that. Just I guess the extra boost that you guys subscribe. But yeah, if you can back it on Patreon, that's awesome. I really thank you for doing that. But if you're just a watcher or a listener, that is great too, because more people just consuming the podcast is awesome. Tell your friends, let them know about the podcast if they're looking to learn more about Vainglory, especially if they're at work or something when they can't play. Podcasts are fantastic for that. All right, let's do it. Let's jump into this week's episode.
Shatter the Vain.
This is the 169th episode of Shatter the Vain. My name is Brad Chmielewski, and it's a podcast all about Vainglory. Every week, I try to break down the news, gameplay, game tips, and hopefully we can all become better players together. And each episode, bringing on people from the community, people that play, support Vainglory in some way or fashion. And this week, Rogue is joining me once again. Greg, welcome back.
Hey, Brad, thanks. It's good to be back.
Yeah, it was episode 141, I think, when you were on before talking about this, I guess, Rogue coming in to Vainglory. So this is cool to have you back now.
Yeah, it's been 7 months. I think that was in January. Mm-hmm. So it's been a little while.
If people, I guess, don't know about you or Rogue, do you want to give a little introduction, and then we can chat about what's been happening?
So my in-game name is Adren. I'm a streamer. I'm the manager, coach, and everything for the Rogue Vainglory team. We do everything we can to keep within the community, and we try to mix it up and keep it fresh. I think that's the best thing.
Nice. Cool. Well, yeah, I guess a lot's been happening as far as the pro scene's been going, especially with Rogue. You guys have been in and out of the Vainglory 8 nearly every split here so far. How's that been? I guess on the, I don't know, on you as the coach and maybe the players, like as their like mindset.
So last autumn was the first time we qualified, and we qualified with Hammy, Archaic, and Afrogum at the time.
Okay.
So essentially, we had the whole winter of not playing, and we went through a bunch of changes during that time due to player conflicts, player reasons. So then we came up with Hammy, Evol, and Sibs for the spring season, which is officially the first season after autumn because of Worlds.
Right.
So player adjustment and maybe getting everybody familiar at that time was, I think, our big toll. So spring, we went and we won the preseason invitational, and the Vainglory 8 season was kind of a learning phase for us. So the first week, we won, and the only game we won after that was actually our challenge battle. It's the rest of the spring split. And then we lost the second one. Actually, I think all the Vainglory 8 teams lost the second split of spring, their challenge battle. I think we had 3 new teams enter.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. If I remember.
So it was a learning curve, and we decided to make some changes going into summer, and we picked up Pawn. And so summer season, we were grinding it out, back through challengers again, and then they came up with the new format for challenge battles. And essentially this time you only had one chance to make it, right? So you only get one split to try to get it.
Mm-hmm.
So we dedicated everything we had to just having fun and trying our best. I think that's all you can really ever do.
Okay.
And we're back in. So, Split 2 was really interesting because you can look at it as, we didn't qualify again. Well, that's the unfortunate part. It really is. However, we did win games. Right. I think people really miss the point is, what you have to look at in the bigger picture is we actually were taking games this second split. We were actually starting to win games. We're starting to find our rhythm and starting to become more comfortable and familiar. So for us, we're going to be coming back in autumn, and we're looking to qualify for Worlds this time.
Okay. And so there's no challenger battles this time, right?
If they do the same format as they did last autumn, there was no live final for autumn. So whoever won the split that hadn't already qualified for Worlds, I think, won their spot at Worlds. So it depends how they decide to do it.
Okay.
Because they haven't really announced that yet. But the format last time, so like if TSM and Cloud9 plays first and second, they've essentially already qualified. They won spring, won summer.
Mm-hmm.
Wait. Yeah. Did I miss a live final somewhere? But essentially, I believe Cloud9's already qualified because they just won spring.
Yeah.
So,
Worlds, yeah.
Even if they win again, well, TSM won the split. So I think that at this point it would come down to who wins the autumn split that hasn't already qualified. So if TSM and Cloud9 plays first and second, whoever's in third place is essentially going to win their spot to Worlds.
For Worlds, okay.
So our goal is first, but we would like to qualify.
Yeah, it seems like the competition there has been just fierce. Like, I don't know, it seems like it's getting harder and harder, but like you said, winning games now is more important because those players are so good. Like if you show up with no points, then you probably don't deserve to be in the Vainglory 8. But yeah, you're picking up points, winning games against these top tier players.
Yeah, and I think that this is one of the most balanced Vainglory 8s that we've ever had. Truthfully, team-wise. Look at the points. The points win the last week. Like, every game mattered.
Yeah.
And that was, one, exciting for the viewer base. Like, anything can happen. Confusing for them as well, because there was like 19 different scenarios, right?
Yeah, I think...
but
the Broken Myth article. It was like, if this happened, and and then you walk backwards, and this.
But you got to take 7 steps to the left.
Yeah.
But if you take 6, you could still do it if this happened because they only took 4. Yeah, like Blizzard did a really good job with that article explaining it, and I'm really hoping that the people that are really in touch with this community are keeping up with the content creators that do stuff like that, because there's so many rule changes every season because, I believe Super Evil's still trying to figure out their best path in, and they just hired Fuji on as their esports coordinator. So
right.
I think we'll see a lot of consistency that happens along with, maybe big adjustments at the time because it's necessary.
Yeah.
It's necessary to create that consistency on the overall path that we need.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all the scenarios that happened, and then you had Immortals basically rolling through this that no one expected. So that just I think threw everything. It's like, wait, what? How are they pulling this off?
Yeah, I mean, my thing is people look at it and go, oh well, this team's in last. But I can tell you, any given weekend, anything can happen because it's just a matter of the game's changing every day. Like every week something's changing as far as competitive. 2.6 was one of my favorite patches as far as competitive and esports play goes, because if you saw the drafts, so much worked. There was not like this broken hero pool. There was a broken hero pool, but every hero was viable in some way. Sure. And we have not had that since I can't remember when.
That's true, yeah.
So, you're like, oh man, we're going to see the same 4 heroes over and over, and then it's going to be this roamer. Whereas every week now, you could get drafted into something different. And you're like, oh wow, Blackfeather comes out. Oh my goodness, Lane Rona. You're like, what's going on? Mm-hmm. So much worked, and so much was viable. And I think that's why we didn't have an overwhelmingly dominant, other than TSM, an overwhelmingly dominant team. Was you could find a way to beat something. You could practice for it. It just depends how much you worked for it.
Right.
And I think that it's a matter of the teams that work the hardest for it are going to be the teams that continue to show you that they're going to stay. There's a lot of time, practice, and dedication that goes into a lot of what's going on now. And a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff that people see the team play, but there's so much behind every team that's in the Vainglory 8 now.
Right, yeah. And then as far as playing in the Challenger Series, how did that compare for you guys and the players versus the Vainglory 8? Like, is it more stressful of environment because there's, I guess, even more on the line than just getting points to stay in here? This is, if you lose, you're out. You can't. Yeah.
Yeah. So everyone that knows me knows that I have a very strong opinion about things. So I'm trying to find the more proper way of saying what I want to say. But I believe that together we need to look at how the Challenger season is formatted. We have to look at the way that it's regulated, and we have to look at the way that it's monitored by not just the Challenger, but it's the feeder organization for your Premier League.
Yeah.
So it should have more
it should have
monitoring.
It should have a little more control maybe from Super Evil about just what's happening, because if something changes, that team is now in your Vainglory 8, and wait,
every
what happened?
Matters.
Yeah.
You can't lose. Right. If you lose, then you definitely can't lose again. Like, you get one chance. Mm-hmm. And that's what puts it on the line. The Challenger League is exciting. It doesn't get a lot of attention. I don't think it gets a lot of the publicity that it needs to get from Super Evil itself. The staff that does do it, they work very hard, and they're just as, trying to figure out the best way to do it that, Super Evil is. But I definitely believe that it needs a little more thought and maybe assistance than it receives.
Okay. Yeah,
That's fair.
It seems like a lot of because of that assistance, a lot of time is put into making the production value really nice, and it looks great. I give it to Blueberries on the side of VGL and the VIS side with Dragonborn and everyone helping out there. They put on a great show and great production for them not having like ESL behind them like Vainglory 8 does and everything else. So yeah. But yeah, I agree. Like maybe
I believe that's something that maybe we could start looking into because the games never conflict with each other.
No.
So I wouldn't see why we couldn't have ESL help produce it or in some way manage that. I know that there's so much going on. Like, we look at Vainglory and we're like, oh well, there's just all this time focused. Everyone's working on it. That's not true. There's different departments. They're all working at the same time. It's just at what pace are they able to get stuff out, right? And test it and then get it approved. Like, you just think, oh, well, they did it, so it's done. No, people have to look at that and approve it, right? Just same way, like, if I was to request something from the team, I have to go through a series of people to get the nods. So, I think there's a lot that we could potentially see with it come and happen, and I think what they're doing is really good. I think it gives the community a chance to prove themselves. I do, however, feel that challenger teams are going to have everything stacked against them, in which they should, because I believe that the challenger teams, if you want to make it to this level, you should not have an advantage going into anything. That's why I like the challenger tournament itself. It's as unbiased and fair as possible. I didn't like the way that it was announced the week of the games. That was different, but I do believe moving forward that that's the better route. And it's hard for the Vainglory 8 teams in the essence of we play one game on Saturday and then, two, maybe three on Sunday. Whereas in Challenger, when you play, you're playing 4 or 5 games a night, every day. Every time that you play, you're playing until you don't play anymore. And that is the stressful part of challengers. So I don't believe that there should be any advantage going towards a challenger team in any facet that would require them entry to the Vainglory 8, because you're in the Vainglory 8, you should have some advantage. You made it there, so you want it. You got to go take it, right? So that's my thing. You got home field advantage. But I do like the challenger tournament.
Yeah, I do. I did enjoy watching it, especially because like the Vainglory 8 happens on the weekends, and it's tough to watch. Those games last all day, so it's nice that during the week, if you're like taking care of work or schoolwork or whatever, you can kind of pop on a game and watch like competitive esports happen. When the weekend maybe you're not there and you have to watch the VODs later. So I do like that breakup where they don't happen on the same days.
Yeah, it is what it is, man.
Yeah. So for Rogue, what's up for this season? Like any changes going into the fall?
As it stands right now, we have no planned changes. This last split was pretty rough, as you know. Pon's family took vacation to Europe for 2 weeks, and that happened. So Saturday we played 2 games. And then after that second game, Pon left for the airport immediately. So he played up until he had to leave his house for the airport.
Okay.
So then Sunday we played with Sibs. And then Sibs went on Vision. So, because we always told Sibs we didn't want to like just cut him free. We wanted to take care of our own. So we didn't want to just cut some player out and then leave them hanging. We kept him on the roster as a sub and allowed him to continue to work with us. And we allowed him the opportunity to try to find somewhere if he could start for him before we let him go.
Okay.
And he chose to go with Vision. So there's absolutely nothing bad or anything I have to say about Sibs. It's just sometimes things don't work. And that's what people are like, well, why do you cut? It's sometimes things don't work. Sometimes you just have to mix it up, regardless of how you feel. And that's the hard part. That's the business part is everyone on this team's like my second family. You know, I take care of them. I talk to Hammy's dad all the time.
Okay.
Hammy's dad texts me every Saturday, where are they playing, when they playing, what channel are they on. You know, he texts me all the time. It's like an extended family of mine. So I like to take care of him. When Evol's going through stuff, he can text me and we talk. The organization's really close with us. Like, we're doing what we can and feel that we can to promote a healthy environment to play.
That's awesome, yeah.
So what didn't work for us was Pond going on vacation because we picked up Stormy, who Stormy wasn't a bad option because back in January, Evil and Hammy used to play with him a lot, but now that's, 6 months ago? So with their practice, they hadn't really played, so Stormy was a wild card. I found a sub last minute because Sibs left, and it was a very, very, very stressful split 2 for me personally, trying to find a player to play that we felt could do it, and it was a nightmare, honestly.
Yeah, I think we talked. I remember talking about like summer being like this time where the players can really focus and play, and you know the competition's gonna be great. But then you run into stuff like that where it's like, oh, but there's vacations and like stuff is happening. It's not just like, all right, I got nothing to do, I can play Vainglory. Nah, that doesn't work out that way.
Yeah, like right after the season ended, I put the guys on a break because Hammy and Evol specifically have been playing and practicing essentially nonstop since last autumn.
Okay.
So even in between splits, we've still continued to scrim and do everything. So they've never taken a break. So we're on a break. Hammy's actually on a hunting trip right now, so he should be back. But you need to take time off too, man. Like everybody, you know, you can grind and grind, but you don't want to burn yourself out.
Especially in a game like this where you burn yourself out and it can get boring, and then you don't
it's
like
just not fun.
Yeah.
The game's supposed to be fun. Even when you play competitively, if you're not having fun and enjoying what you're doing, then you need to do something else.
Very true, yeah. Well, cool. Exciting to hear how it's been going, what's happening. I know after we recorded that episode first time, like I know a lot of people comment like they were fans, they're going to be rooting for you guys. I know they're still like love supporting you guys, so that's been great. Just comments and things I've seen on Twitter and the YouTube channel as well.
Yeah, you know, I know you guys saw Evol's tweet. Like, it's really hard because you get a lot of criticism, you get a lot of critique. After spring, like this is the side of this sport that people don't see is after spring split 2, when we fell out of the VG8, someone actually called Hammy and threatened him. Someone called him with a death threat.
Jeez.
You know. Okay. And it's really hard because there's so much hate, and it's really hard to see the positivity through a lot of things. And the game's a lot of mentality aspects. So if there are fans out there, you know, thank you for the support. We do appreciate it, and it means a lot to the guys. So everybody just has been so uplifting on Twitter to show that there are two sides to the community. You have you're right there at the game that everybody wants to see you fail because they want to be where you are. And then you have the other side of people that are just supportive because they want to be supportive of the team. Mm-hmm. So, you know, it's definitely hard, and it plays a really big role, and it causes a lot of issues for players, and people got to really understand that, you know.
Yeah, those negative negative comments, like, I don't know, they just dig a little deeper, although you might have like 10 people saying how great you are or supportive you are. One, like, just you suck is like, it's the worst.
Yeah, you know, like like this trip we took when we drove here. Like, we drove through like 4 cities, and it was just a horrific experience for my wife and I with our children. Like, In St. Louis, our car was broken into in less than an hour. You know, so like my son got sick in Nashville, we had to take him to the ER. My daughter got sick in Kansas City. Atlanta, we were there for like one night, and then we had to drive to our house. Like, we were just so ready to be done with the road trip. It was bad, but look back, you have pictures of the positive moments. So like, in my mind, like, oh, that trip sucked, and then I look back at these pictures, I was like, oh, well, that was a nice moment. And then you start to remember that, but if you don't see it and all you feel is that's what you remember, right? So that's just how life works.
Yeah, true. Well, cool. Well, I want to jump into some of the news, get your opinions on it, especially because you're streaming and playing this game quite a bit, along with like coaching. So you probably have some good thoughts on what's been happening here in Vainglory. So let's dive into that.
Vainglory News.
So we had the update 2.7 this past week or week and a half now. We touched on a little bit on the last episode with Brutal Turtle. But how's it been for you? Have you had any time to play? I know you talk about your road trip and moving, but have you jumped into it at all?
Well, I mean, it's been hard for me to sit here and fully test the patch out. I have played Reza a little bit. I did buy it because I wanted to. He's fun. Yeah. He's definitely a really fun and unique hero. I think he's gonna bring a lot of interesting aspects. We'll see how it plays out. It always takes like that first couple weeks for everybody to figure out how they want to use him, right? So I think it'll be really interesting to see how that works out.
Yeah.
Not too much crazy, it seems, has changed. There's probably going to be a shift in the meta, so we'll see how that works out. Only time will tell. If I did know, I'm not going to tell anybody. But I mean, the meta, we'll see how that works.
Yeah,
it's definitely interesting. I think Blackfeather got a really, really huge change, if not mistaken. The Rose Trail removal. I think that's interesting.
That's kind of a bummer. That was kind of, I think, a fun part of his kit that was kind of underused for, I guess, a lot of like maybe just the people in general that play, like the solo queue players.
Yeah.
So I was sad to see that go. Yeah, in the solo queue, it seems like Grace and Catherine are now the bans. Like, that captain role is just crazy strong. The captains maybe got a little too strong over the last few updates, and they're just the powerhouse of the game lately.
Catherine's quite amazing with the number of heroes put together. You know, that stun lock combination. It reminds me of like the Finn, Kestrel, and Celeste combo, that triple wombo, or the Jewel, and you just, anything that can stun you for that long is not good to play against, and it's not fun to play against, right?
And easy to land.
Yeah, especially it's like, you know, if I can't get out of it. If I get stunned by one and I block it, I can't, you know, I gotta use ability to get away from another one. I still have a third one to worry about. So that's what made like Grace and Baptiste so obnoxious, you know. So that's probably where you will see is people are going to figure out that we don't want to play against that till it gets nerfed into the ground.
Yeah. Which is too bad for Catherine. I love some Catherine, but yeah, she's just so easy to play that she just like creeps up there over time each update.
And you know, it's been a while because we haven't seen Catherine for like a good 2 or 3 updates. You know, she hasn't even been banned. She's just been ignored, kind of like Adagio. So it's nice to see him starting to come back, and that's always going to happen with updates, is as some things go down, other things are going to come up, and we're going to be, oh, wow, that's really good. And then the community is going to see, you know, TSM play Rome Koshka, and I'm never going to want to play solo queue again.
Yeah, exactly. I think 2.7 should get played in the summer championships here, so we should get to see the competitive side of it here in a couple weeks, so that should be exciting.
I'm really interested to see what preparations being done. It's really quiet right now. It's really quiet because there's, you know, teams taking breaks, there's teams, so I'm interested to see what comes. I'm interested to watch the live final. I, you know, wish I could be there. However, I did move all the way to the East Coast, so I'll still be watching. I always watch. I watched the Challenger tournament while I was in hotel rooms, wherever my Wi-Fi worked, and I just still try to keep up.
Yeah. And yeah, I'm sure as a coach with a new update like this, it's hard. You got to know what's happening so you can see it, and then relay that back to the players and talk about it, and just let them know like, hey, all right, let's give this a try.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one thing that I think we do very well is we're not afraid to test things out. And I mean, if you look back at spring season, maybe we were a little too much with it. We're not afraid to try to go and break the meta. We're not afraid to try different things. I think that's one thing that, maybe was a big downfall for us in spring, but who knows? Maybe we just got outplayed. But I think that as we continue to play, the players are getting better. Evol's an amazing roamer. Hammy is developing into a better laner, and Pawn is continuing to improve himself. I don't speak much about the work that goes behind, but if you have watched footage, go back and watch spring, then watch the summer season. You'll see the difference in them.
Yeah, and one update like this, it could be totally different for the players. This could be the update where you guys shine and Cloud9 just doesn't get Reza and can't do it. Like, you never know what's going to happen.
Exactly, and that's one thing, is every time there's an update, that update's going to be, like Misfits was a really good example for me. When Grumpjaw came out in spring, that just wasn't their update.
Yeah.
He wasn't covered. And it wasn't, because it shifted the meta to these, especially this last patch specifically. It was all about mage jungles, and Samuel and Sky, and then you guys saw Cruel come out of nowhere. Cruel was an amazing counter to the mage jungle. He had the ability to lock on and deny you damage.
Yeah.
And that's why Cruel is so effective, and people don't. They don't know why. They just see people do it, so they play it. This is why it worked. Everybody saw us play Cruel an ungodly amount. Well, Cruel's very hard to counter, even for his natural counters. He could beat Petal. That's not normal.
Yeah.
It should be able to do that, right? I mean, and Samuel for sure. Samuel was easy. If we saw someone A-side Samuel, we were going Cruel. You go back and watch the footage, guarantee you money. Pawn played, we played Cruel into Samuel.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And Kestrel too. Like, you can watch it. It's just, we knew for a fact that it was the counter to the mage meta, and that's why it got played so much. And then if you notice, not every team did it, but all the top tier teams were doing it. That's because they figured it out. They figured it out, and it was adopted, and it's only carried so far because Cruel is not an easy hero for all the junglers to play.
Right, yeah.
Play the right way. It's true. Everybody can say, oh, well, there's just some heroes that people don't feel confident playing at that that S tier ability.
Yeah. My issue with Cruel, I know he got a nice little buff in 2.7, is stopping. Stopping in bushes. Like, playing all the other heroes, you're like constantly moving, but to like get in your head, like, I have to go to this bush and stop. Like, hold and wait for the perk to kick in, and then I can go. Like, that's just it. You have to rethink how you play the game. You
do, and the thing with Cruel is one big thing that I think they changed him. It was like 3 or 4 patches ago. He still wasn't played, but one thing people don't understand is, what is that one item that, other than like Tension Bow, that you've always thought Cruel is like his second or third item? It's always been Shiver Steel.
Mm-hmm.
He's always, now it's passive. He has a passive Shiver Steel. Every time he stops in a bush, it's passive.
Yeah.
So it makes it harder for him to kite, because now I don't have to worry about hitting a button. Now it's built into him. So, I mean, that's something I don't think people understand, is that when you look at the kit of the hero, you have to understand, and that's why you build it. Because I still see some people build Shiver Steel on Cruel, and I'm like, it's totally unnecessary. Right. So depending on when you use it, you come out of a bush, you can kite a laner, and you can run ahead of them. So if they kite you, you can run in front of them. While they're still slow.
Right, especially now that he's faster in 2.7. So it's like, the dude is way too fast. Like, I'm like, he should not be this quick.
Fast, and his Dead Man's Rush was was reduced by a second.
Yeah.
So he can use it 1 second less now. So that makes his little shield buff. It makes him. We'll see. I don't think Cruel's going anywhere. I definitely think he's going to be one of those pocket picks that you're going to have.
Mm-hmm. And then with this update, I know people were having this issue with the freezing. I saw a lot of people freeze Glory on Twitter. This has been fixed. There is now an optional update in the App Store, so you do have to go in and download it because, like I said, it's optional, so you don't know if it's there unless you jump into the App Store. But install it, because that freeze bug, when it happens, sucks. You're just like, what? I don't understand.
Yeah, I didn't get to play much, but I did play one game, and I froze at the level 1 jungle fight, and it really kind of bummed me down. Like, I was like, what the heck? I haven't got to play for like 2 weeks.
And that happens.
And my game's frozen. Can I fix this? Oh, okay. I'm dead. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So definitely install this update. This is the second actual fix now. So we have one previous and now this one. So that's cool that they're kicking out these quick patches and updates when they find these issues. And then also this week we finally got this Ciderhelm interview with PlayoffBeard talking about 5v5 and kind of what's happening. These were the questions that Vainglory was asking on Twitter from people, and I think they went through about 5 or 6 questions through this little interview. Did you get a chance to watch this?
I got to briefly glance through it. My kids have taken the time zone change, I think, the worst. My daughter's not going to bed till like 11.
Oh, okay.
So, I briefly got to watch through some of it. Ciderhelm's a genius, to be honest. Like, other than just, hey guys, Ciderhelm. It's, he really is, and very well spoken. I think what he had to say about how Vainglory is different, how it's true. And, even if I'm not mistaken, Riot even applauded Vainglory for how they've continued to create such a unique MOBA as compared to theirs, like with their lawsuit they're going through with, Mobile Legends, is how unique Vainglory has been able to be. And a lot of people don't look at it that way. They're, it's just a knockoff. But it's not. It's different in its own way. If you look at every MOBA is going to have certain things that are going to be constant. That's why Dota and League are different but similar. Dota has this just crazy large jungle and all this different stuff going on, and the ban phase is entirely weird, and you look at it and you watch and you're like, what's going on? But each MOBA is different in its own way, and they each have to be respected for their differences. You can see a copycat, like Mobile Legends was a copycat 100,000%, but when you look at Vainglory, what does make it the same? You can compare every hero to each other in some way. Every hero could be compared, like Ranger in Dota can be compared to Ashe in League, and you're like, well, yes and no, but everything can be compared. You just have to look at this and go, well, they've done something different. There's no comparison in the aspects of the objectives are different. The jungle's not as big. It's pretty simple. It's compact, and you play it on your phone.
Right. So it's gotta be a little smaller. Yeah. I think he said one thing about Vainglory is the jungle is very important, and this is something they are thinking about when they go into 5v5. Because when you think about all your fights, it's probably about 50% of the time they happen in lane or in the jungle. Like I think it's also because there's a shop there, so everyone goes to it quite a bit. If there was no shop there might not be as much fighting. But yeah, we're just in the jungles fighting quite a bit.
What a lot of people don't see is that first, 4 minutes of the game, that treant is a real big focus. I think a lot of people have started to really understand and change their micro games. I guess it's early macro at that point where it comes down to how to control that mid treant. You got to think about, that's an objective. It's a big objective. What kind of, well, I get a lot of experience. Okay, so I can level faster than the other jungler, so that's an advantage. So it's a matter of how do you take these. Are you trying to snowball? How are you doing it? What do you do? Are you skipping? So you got to think about how you play and what's the objective. And like I said, if you go back and watch our footage, you can see how the objective control changed from one point, where were we last, in spring, to 2.0 after Worlds. You can see even from spring to summer, and watch every team, all of the objective focus changed. Everybody started doing things different. You started to, now it means something to kill their miner. Now it does. So you only get 3. So now I can force those fights wherever I want on the map. I'm not limited. That's why first turret's such a big deal. First turret is more important to people understand. That is how I control my half of the map.
Right.
Once I lose that turret, now I have no control over my mid tree and my bottom.
It's a little scarier to be around.
It is. It's much scarier because now I don't know. Are they in my tri-bush? Can I lay vision? Where are they? So instead of you having half the map, now you have a quarter of it that you can control safely. So I think objective play has been modularly different this last season.
As far as the 5v5, is it something you're thinking about for Rogue? Is it even really on your mind yet, or is it's not here yet, so we can't really even plan for it?
I think 5v5 is on every competitive team's mind, because it is going to change the way the game's played. It's going to change the way the teams are formed. It's going to change the staffing the teams need. Right now, we're starting to see teams start to get a coach. We're starting to see them start to look at it and say, oh, well, an analyst might be okay here. It's going to be mandatory for 5s. How are you going to help 5 people play the game on your own? You won't. It's hard enough to do with 3. It really is. If you're doing it the right way and the team's getting supported the way they need, they don't need a whole lot of monitoring right now, but the way the game's changing, and if they're learning the game, they're not masters at it yet, you have to teach 3 people how to play the game better together.
Yeah.
So teach 5 to do that.
There's something interesting that Ciderhelm said too about 5v5 and 3v3 being both supported by Super Evil Megacorp. I kind of call BS on this because, like you're saying, these competitive players are looking to 5v5, the competitive teams. What's the benefit in having a 5v5 team and a 3v3 team? That seems like a lot of resources.
That's going to be a ton of resources, and it's really going to be a matter of what gets supported by the Oregon. Like, a lot of people don't understand, it costs organizations money to have teams. Right. So not just money in that, money in staffing, money in time. So it may not be possible for every org to have a successful 5 team and a successful 3 team. So it might be like, oh, we have our 5s, but our 3 teams also, are the schedules going to conflict? I think it's going to be a matter of when and how the teams play. Because me as one person, I'm going to have to get 7 more monitors if I'm going to, if we're going to do all that on the same day. I have 1 monitor, so watching games is already fun as it is. So, we'll see. I can't predict that future yet, but I will tell you that we intend to follow along and go where it's going to be most supported.
Right. Yeah.
I think if it comes to 5v5, and even with 3v3, if you want players to start doing this full time, I think that we need to get better tournament sponsorships and more money involved overall.
Okay. Yeah, they said it's going to be, they will focus their time on where the players and the organizations, I guess, decide where to commit their time. So if, like you're saying, if people are like, well, 5v5 is the game, we're all going there, and 3v3 gets left behind, that might be the indicator that the SCMC drops 3v3 or pushes it to the side. Or maybe 5v5 comes and people are like, well, no, we kind of like this 3v3 game. 5v5 is fun, but it's just not working for the competitive
I think
side.
3s made Vainglory special in a way. We didn't have 5s. And I think that 5s could make Vainglory unique in another way, because it could be what we need to solidify that team. Because what we have now is we have 3 people, and you can watch nearly every organization do it every split. oh, we lost, we're changing players. We lost, we're changing players. You're never going to continue to improve. Right now, with 3 people, you can get away with some of that. In 5s, if you make one person change, then you change the way everybody plays the game.
That's true.
So I think 5s could help solidify those more permanent rosters. You know, we've made changes, but Hammy and Evil have been constant the whole time, right? TSM's been constant the whole time. Cloud9's been constant since the last split. So there's very few teams that you can look at and go, man, they've been together for, you know, a year. They've played together for this long without going, oh, that changed, that changed, that changed. The minimal changes. The only other way that I think that you should make changes other than just one person is changing an entire roster.
Okay.
It makes the most sense because it's going to be a different roster anyway.
Mm-hmm. And,
you know,
adding 5s, that's a lot of players. Like, we've seen a lot of the top tier players. They're in the orgs. They bounce around from one to another. And with 5 on a team and maybe 6 with a sub, who knows? That's a lot of people that maybe are like B squad that wouldn't have been in the 3v3 team, but now that it's 5, is kind of, they're there.
Right. So depending on how many subs we get, is it 5 plus 3? Because there's your 8. You know, I guess I don't know. Like, the way you look at things is it's hard enough finding 1 good sub, you know, let alone 2, maybe 3. I mean, that's going to be something on its own. You're not going to have enough players that actually want to sub like that. That's just the way it goes. Some players don't mind subbing, but I think another thing that needs to be looked at is live event participation. Can they participate? Because if not, then there needs to be an age restriction to where we come and look at these things. So I think that 5s is going to be different because it's hard enough getting 3 people to a live event. Let's get, you know, 6 teams, 12. So 12 times 5 is what, 100, goodness gracious, 140 players, you know, something like that. We're talking about some expenses, and we're talking about trying to get, you know, what we couldn't do, 36 players in one place. Now you're looking at, you know, what, like 75 per region almost.
Yeah, that's a lot of people. Yeah. Make those events look bigger.
Just one region, you're doubling the attendance of just one region. So I think that it needs to be looked at, and there needs to be a rule set about participation. Like, if you can't attend the live event, then it kind of really spoils the live event for everyone.
Yeah.
You know, playing with a player just because they're good and they can't attend a live event, I don't think is really fair to all those that are playing and intending to go.
Oh. Well, I say, everyone, if you haven't seen this Ciderhelm interview, go watch it. We're getting like this drip, drip, drip of 5v5 news that's like just enough to keep everyone on the hook until it's here. So it's cool to see, though. And then we're talking about all these orgs and teams in here. I touched on this a little bit last week, the franchise spots. We kind of finally know who everyone is now. I think you probably knew who everyone was beforehand because there's NDAs that people know if you're in there. But was there any surprises when this
the
official
NDAs
list?
didn't come down to my level.
Oh, okay.
So surprises, yeah, I'd say Team Queso. I didn't know, man. Team Queso's in there. That's interesting, and that's kind of neat because they have like one of everybody loves cheese. Why not follow Team Queso? No, you know, no, I think it's pretty interesting, and I think they did at least try to capture, it looks like, from multiple regions, not just, you know, everything. Oh, well, it's just gonna be NA and EU. No, everybody had an opportunity. I think that as far as franchising goes, when you think about it, it's what do they contribute to? I'm not gonna pay them money for nothing. What do they contribute to us?
Right.
How do they help us grow? I think they did a good job capturing that. I know a lot of people may be like, oh, well, we only watch TSM videos or Cloud9 videos or Gangstars videos, but everybody's putting out content. You know, our players have been doing player guides. We've been all over the place. How are you trying to help people learn the game? I think that's what's important.
Yeah, so I think, yeah, like you said, everyone on these teams are doing a good job and trying to do different things. So, yeah, it's neat to see, and hopefully we see some more teams come in as the game grows. So cool.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think that this is going to help them create a long-lasting esports scene for themselves.
Cool. And then we were talking about the VIS league and everything. There was basically like a challenger, I guess, battle or championship. I'm a little confused because I think I missed this whole fight happen, but Echo Fox qualified for the VIS Challenger Championship. They were playing the Nova Challengers, which is not the Nova team that's in Vainglory 8. This is a different Nova team, which you're only allowed to have one team in Vainglory 8. So why they even have a Challenger squad playing is questionable. But did you watch this or did you follow this?
Yeah, I've been following that, and I thought it would be only a matter of time before someone attempted to do this, where you're only allowed globally one pro team, so one Vainglory 8 team in any region. I mean, you're allowed to have as many challenger teams as you like.
Right.
So what does that mean? Say they both qualify for the Vainglory 8. From what I understand is, between those two teams, they'll battle it out for who deserves the spot. I think that's how that works. If not, there needs to be a little more clarification put out. But the way that I was always under the impression was if the Nova Challengers team had qualified, then Nova would have to play them to keep their spot.
Okay.
After the tournament. Because if you think about it, when they qualify for it, and if they make it into the Vainglory 8, what's going to happen? You can't have two. So one team's going to disappear, and we're going to have an empty spot, which we just gave to somebody, because you'd have to keep it.
Right. We see in League this happens, and they sell that spot because they are very hard to get into. I mean, a much, much longer process. So you have a team, if Cloud9 has their feeder team or their minor league team, and they get in, then they just sell it to someone for like thousands, millions of dollars. So
now there needs to be a rule set put behind what's going to happen, and that effect is, I believe that they should play through the tournament. If they make it through the Challenger tournament, then mommy and daddy should play each other for their spot. And if they don't make it here, then you give it to whoever didn't qualify but was closest, next best.
Because it would become a problem if you can just...
If you could just sell spots, that's a big problem.
Yeah.
I think that would break the integrity of the system that they've created. So I think that there needs to be some more clarified rule sets put out, because now that it has happened, what do we do about it?
Yeah.
Right? Well, it could happen. Now it has happened. So what do we do about it? I think that needs to be clarified. I don't have an issue with it. I think it's great. I think it really is nice to see teams willing to play for organizations at all levels. The Challenger League is not something that should be neglected. So it's just a matter of now what happens in this scenario. Because if you're going to have, there are really good Challenger teams. So it's not something to sleep on. So what do we do about it?
And having that B team at the moment, if it goes to 5v5, you have the players ready. Like maybe that B team isn't getting paid, or maybe they're not getting paid as much because it is expensive. But now you have 6 other players that are like ready, have been playing together, and can make it happen.
Yeah, maybe. Like I said, there's a number of things that could happen, but I think that scenario needs to be defined.
But yeah, Echo Fox qualified for this Challenger Championship. I don't know when this championship is going to happen. Because it looks like it's kind of like the summer championships where there's teams that qualify and then make it in. So I have to get Dragonborn to confirm what this is. I think
that they go to the live final now, and there's. I'll update you. I'll get you caught back up, because it was put out as to what that spot was. There's only one. I'm not sure what happens, but they're kind of like a game that's going to happen before the actual live final itself.
Oh, okay, interesting, cool.
Something to that effect.
Nice. And then VIS League, the VIS Pro League starts next week. So they've kind of done a good job doing this kind of between splits. Just this basically like week or 2 week tournament that happens with some of the top teams. They just kind of battle it out. It's kind of just basically keeps our esports fulfillment there. So that's always fun to watch.
Yep. I mean, we're looking forward to it. We'll be playing.
Awesome.
I think it's a lot for teams that want to play, but aren't ready for the full season yet, or just getting warmed back up into it, or coming back from a break. I think it's good for them to kind of gauge what's going to happen. A good chance for a lot of big things to happen. A lot of people use the tournament differently. Some may take it more serious than others. But I think it's a good opportunity for you to test out maybe any subs that you have. It's a good opportunity for you to see kind of what's going to work and what's not going to work, and maybe like a test run live scenario.
Mm-hmm. Or if you're someone like TSM or Cloud9, throw people off. Like, let's
make some money.
Yeah, make some money, or let's try something out that we're not gonna use, but we'll make them think we're going to use this.
Yeah, there's lots of things that can happen.
Awesome. And then for the summer championships that are coming up here in a couple weeks, there's this a bracket challenge that's happening. You can win basically ice, mystery keys, and then you're entered for, I believe, a iPad.
I just sent you the winning bracket. So,
okay, cool.
Mine's gonna be the winning bracket, I think.
Who do you have going here?
So day one, I have Mouse Sports over G2. I have Dynasty over Clash. I took Tempo over Nova, even though that game could go any way, to be honest. I really do believe that is going to be a really good game. There's nothing biased in that, by the way. I took Immortals over Hammers.
Yeah, I got that.
Hammers is going with a sub, so I don't see that going very well for them. Day two, took Cloud9. I took Immortals over Fnatic. I took SK over Tempo.
Yeah, that's what I got, yeah.
And I took TSM over Dynasty.
Mm-hmm.
I think SK is a good team. I think they're going to be your EU finalists or semi-finalists.
Yeah, I think so. As I was filling this out, I was like, I think they're a good team, but I also don't want to be like too NA biased. I'm like, I think they can pull it off here.
I definitely agree. And, the only other one I could see going a different way is Fnatic and Immortals, but I'm going to give that one to Immortals. I think that Immortals is also a very strong team. Mm-hmm. DNZO plays good and on live events. He just does. Day three, I got TSM over Immortals, and I got Cloud9 over SK. We have a TSM and Cloud9 final. Yeah. And I think TSM is going to take the final this time.
That's what I had as well. TSM taking it. Cloud9 is. I think either way, it's going to be a great finals if these two teams meet. But I think Flash, he said like he may retire after this or do something different.
So I think TSM's taking it.
Yeah, he's got to go out on top, right? Or I guess maybe at that point he might go to Worlds, but he's got to win, and who knows what he's gonna do. Nope. That's.
I agree. I think they will, man.
But I would go fill out this bracket because it's super easy to fill out. I know in the past some of the brackets you had to like download it, write it in, then tweet it. This is just click. It takes like 5 seconds to just click through everything, and you could you'll win something because it's based on points. So you're basically guaranteed something out of this if you.
And that's really cool. Is in the past, like if you didn't win at all, you didn't win anything.
Yeah.
This one, 0 to 3 points is going to win glory. 4 points is going to win glory. Then you're going to start winning keys, and then 12 points. If you get it all right, you could win an iPhone 7 Plus.
Mm-hmm.
Hey.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah.
So everyone gets a chance to win something.
Mm-hmm. So now I'll include a link, and once you tweet it out, there's a link to enter yourself. So go do that. And then the last bit of news before we wrap up this here is the PAX West Halcyon Gathering. So Super Evil Megacorp really hasn't done any conventions this year. They've kind of stepped back from that, where in the years past they were at every PAX, they were at everything that was happening, but they kind of took a back seat this time. And this is going to be a Halcyon gathering put on by the Pacific Northwest Vainglory crew. Chanchi over there putting this on, but he's going to have Super Evil Megacorp folks there, Nivmet, I think it said Shinkaigen was going to be there, so this should just be a great event for anyone who's going to PAX and kind of wanted to see Super Evil Megacorp there. I will not be there. I've never been to a PAX, so I don't know what to expect. I always hear good things.
I've actually never been to a gaming convention myself.
Okay.
I've always wanted to, but I've never been able to make it to one.
One of these times, when you guys get first place next split, then you'll have to start going to these.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so check that out. Sign up. It's free. You get free food. Just go and check it out if you're going to be in Seattle for that weekend. Cool. Well, that is all the news. One little forum static thing before we wrap up here.
Forum static.
The thanks ping is gone. Did you notice that the thanks ping was gone? The question mark ping got taken away. Now the thanks ping.
Yeah, the pings, everyone's gonna find that replacement for the question mark, but nothing will ever be quite as good.
No, yeah. So if you're, I didn't even notice that the thanks ping was gone until someone mentioned it was gone. That's how little I ping, just because I just don't care. So I don't use them that often. So.
Yeah. So like you said, I mean, we'll see. I don't know. The ping system has its potential to be great. It's just abused, as you would expect it to be.
That's what happens. I don't know. It's just if there's something in there, someone's gonna find a way to exploit it, or take advantage of it. Yeah, and so the thanks ping, reducing toxicity a little bit, I guess, or increasing it maybe because you don't have that outlet. I don't know. It's kind of tough to say.
Right.
Cool. But that's gonna do it for this week's episode. Greg, thanks for joining me. This was great.
As usual, I appreciate the invitation, and always glad to take a minute with you, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I loved hearing what Rogue is up to, what you're doing. You're also streaming quite a bit. Are you back with the setup for streaming or not? Not yet.
So I thought I was going to be ready. However, like I said, the kids' schedule's been crazy. I will be back probably this next week.
Cool.
Trying to get something set up. Probably not as much. I'm devoting more time to my real-life job.
Okay.
And a lot more effort on the team. So probably not going to be 5 days a week anymore. But I still will be doing it probably 2 or 3 days every week, trying to get on there. And just, like I said, I want to help Vainglory grow as much as I can.
And then you were also starting to stream some other, a little PUBG now and then, some League, I think I saw a little bit.
Oh, so yeah. I play mini games. I'm good at none of them. So I like to play a little bit of everything. You know, like I said, is you don't want to burn yourself out. So I mean, they just did StarCraft Remastered. I don't know. Growing up as a kid, StarCraft was like the first game I bought, other than like Age of Empires. So you know, I play a little bit of everything. I'll play some Overwatch. Yeah, I stream everything. I like video games. We're all here because we love video games, right?
Yeah. Cool. Well, I'll include a link to the channel, and everyone should go over there. Follow you on Twitter and subscribe and follow the channel as well. Because just so you know when it's going up, and always fun hanging out with you.
I appreciate that.
Cool. And then you can follow Shatter The Vain on Twitter at Shatter The Vain. Website shatterthevain.com. All the episodes get posted there. Links to iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube. And then I'll be back with episode 170 next week. Take care.
Let's get this over with.